So, as a good millennial, I was watching CSI. The episode was about Second Life. Shitty episode in my opinion, but a character that's sick says that in real life he's dying. But in Second Life, he can be anything and do anything. And that's when I thought, people only play video games as a way of escapism. And I can avoid the feeling that I'm wasting my life on video games instead of being a red pill alpha man. That's it, end of the video, bye bye. But being serious, maybe it's just the result of actuality and how little we can really progress in life. First of all, this is just my opinion on something I think at 2 am while I scratch my dog's belly. I did not investigate anything because I don't know how to read, nor have any kind of credentials for my opinion, but I'll be happy to argue as an analphabet dropout. Most of the people I know are living with roommates and share memes about how their parents were having their third child and paying their home while they feel happy just buying food. And it seems to be just a coping left. Resignation seems to be the solution. TBH, most of the jobs on the market don't pay enough to live comfortably, and the one that does just takes your life away. I used to be a post producer for politicians, and I lived fine, just fine. Nothing too fancy. The issue comes when you realize that you're investing something like 12 to 16 hours just to live comfortably. There even was a joke in the office that if you enter a campaign, you won't have a life. You won't see your girlfriend, you won't walk your dog, you won't even play a video game. Don't even dream about it. And as an advice for the young fellas, if you're dating someone from your office, you don't have a life outside your office. So either quit or get a hobby, I don't know, but don't date people from the office. It's just problems. What I'm trying to say is that either you sell your soul to the devil and live fine, or you have 10 roommates and a constant feeling of depression and anxiety because you can't make it through the month. And the sad thing is that this cycle repeats itself constantly. You constantly feel like you are doing just not enough. You're not doing enough. You need to work more to have, I don't know, money to go out on dinner, to see your friends, to drink a beer. It's just sad to think that you have to work something around 12 to 16 hours, have 2 jobs in some cases, or have 3 jobs in the worst case, just to be able to do things that you should consider normal. And don't even dare to dream about buying a house. That's out of the picture, completely out of the picture. And this makes just thinking into investing or creating kind of hard, you know? It's not the same to say to someone, just do art or just invest into something or just wake up at 3 a.m. and I don't know, kill a god so you can be a millionaire. It's just the fact that you really can't invest in yourself or your creativity if you don't have the means to it. I have a friend that made a lot of money at 25, something like that. And one day talking with his dad, he asked me, why are you struggling? And one thing I said to him was like, I have to pay rent. I didn't have some of the possibilities you gave to your child. The fact that I have to pay rent since I'm 20, the constant need to be saving for pet bills, just for any case, it's a limitation in the capacity I have to expand my creativity or my capacity to invest. I can't be playing with my money because I don't know if I'm going to have the same money next month. I I can't really tell you how many times I had to stop my artistic work just because I didn't have the money to buy the basic supplies, you know? And those are not really expensive supplies. I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. So if you want to create a business or anything that needs money, it's just impossible at this point. And that's when the happy place comes. You turn on your PC, open a game, and start playing. At the beginning, you just can't fight everyone. Or you only have wood tools, or you have a small car, just like that one time that I had to boil water with my 3D printer because I forgot to pay the gas. But usually after an hour or two, you start to feel progress. And that's a word we need to remember. You start to feel more powerful, to be able to create more stuff. Those diamond pickaxes become as valuable as prime. And this is a really important part of video game design because as humans, we're used to the idea of progression. We needed to make some sense of what we're doing. If you make it too easy, it's boring. And if you make it too hard, it's frustrating. Unless you're one of the soul cycles. And this itself, it's a reflection of life. You don't want things to be too easy. You want to work for what you get, to have this feeling of, I earn it. But if things are just impossible, there's no reason to try. One of the easiest ways to feel accomplishment is with progression. Either a raise, which don't really exist nowadays, in most cases are just adjustments to inflation, or finishing a piece of good art, or getting a good book in Minecraft. If you want an old concept that kind of connects with this idea, you can read The Fear of Freedom, which I read like 10 years ago, so don't take my word for it. He basically talks about the lack of intimacy we as humans have with the things we create. That since the Industrial Revolution, we don't really have this connection with the objects we make in the world. It's not the same to make something like in the old times, like creating a wood tool or something like that. It's just you make a little part of a big mechanism that doesn't really feel like something yours, like a human creation. And it just doesn't feel that way because you ain't actually doing the thing, you're just doing a part of the thing. You don't feel this sense of progression with the concept or the idea or the object or your work. You feel like just part of a thing. And maybe that's one of the reasons why people don't want to work in nonsensical jobs anymore, like being a cashier or the classic put the bags on the fry. It just seems like it's nonsensical work. Like you're not doing anything for humanity, you're not doing anything for yourself, you're just existing and repeating a process. I'm sure I'm butchering the idea, but you get it, I hope. And part of me thinks that it's the lack of control as well. The lack of the ability to say, okay, I'm going to save a year or 2 years of a payment to be able to buy something I like or to buy a house. And this gets me to the idea of paying rent, for example. Just think about it. 30 years ago, you could have a normal job, work normal hours, and be able to have a car, buy a house, have 3 children, and being alive by one of them, as long as you were not an alcoholic. Nowadays, you're lucky if your normal job lets you have a chihuahua. He might unalive you too. Just to be honest, have you looked at those things? We as a generation have a really big problem. We were sold the idea that you could do all these things, but in reality, you're just going to be paying rent the rest of your life. You won't have insurance, medical bills will keep growing. It's just nonsense to think that we're supposed to be having a car, buying houses, when the market is the way it is. It's not an accident that people prefer to have dogs than childs. I know the world sucks. We really shouldn't be having children, but even if you want to, it's really hard to be able to economically feel fine by having children. What I'm trying to say, it's something that it's already happening in parts of the world, like the Bailan in China, where the youth realizing that you can really achieve the concept of life that you were sold, you just resign. You just don't do anything. You should really look into that situation. It's really interesting, believe me. And all of this makes this kind of escapism logical because in real life you will be trapped doing the same constantly. You won't feel any kind of progression. So it's just logical that people prefer video games, that people prefer the ability to start something and constantly feel that dopamine that you're actually becoming better, growing. Reality just can't compete with video games. As simple as that. The situation got so bad that the only way to feel that you are actually achieving something in life it's inside of a video game. I'm not trying to say that playing video games as a way of escapism it's bad. I'm trying to understand why it's happening so much. Why this idea of spending more and more hours into video games to create another life, it's so extensive. Why I invest hours and hours and hours playing Minecraft instead of thinking of remaking my reel, for example. And I really think it's something we need to think for ourselves in what we invest our time, what's important for us, and as a society, what are we doing, what are we accepting, and what can we do in our surroundings to try to change this? Maybe not for us, but to give more hope for the next generation. We need to get to a point where video games are what they used to be when we were childs. Just fun, not escapism. Just something you do because you want to have fun, not because reality it's so shitty that you can't bear it. The truth is that for these things to work, we all have to be alright with them. We as a society decide if something happens or not, but that's another subject for another video. And just as a way to not finish this video in such a depressive statement, I would like you to think about the other things that give you this feeling of accomplishment. We constantly think that the only thing that gives us pleasure is money. Not literally money, but the feeling that something we do gets value. So if we invest a little bit of our time thinking about the other things that makes us happy and invest more time into it, maybe we can find another way to get this feeling of accomplishment and really better ourselves. If you like this video, just like and subscribe and leave me a comment in other things you want me to talk about. I have some interesting subjects in my mind, but it's always good to have another ideas and other opinions. And tell me if you find that thing that gives you the same happiness as money.